So how did you go about collecting the teeth?
Just went up to Warrakoo station up past Lake Victoria with Len and the 2 kids. We just basically stop at every dead kangaroo. Sometimes their teeth or their head isn't even there, so we'll just walk around and have a look and see if we can find the head and the jaw. But if the jaw's all attached and stuff, and the head, sometimes you have to crush the jawbone and pull the whole jaw out and then pull the teeth out. I had these teeth soaking for about 3 weeks and they came out fairly easily, but normally, you know, we just bust up the jaw bones and pull them out.
So did you pull out the teeth?
Yep. Crush the skull. I've taught my nephew how to do it. He just needs to get a little bit heavier. He's only 9, but he loves it. So the tooth would sit in there like that.
Okay.
So that's, but then after soaking for weeks, I just pull that out. This takes a long time to prepare the skin because you've got to cut all the hair off, shave all the hair off, and because once you cut all that down, it's really prickly. And so you don't want it sort of all looking all prickly and yucky.
So what inspired you to make them in the first place?
I guess being a jewellery maker, I made my living making jewellery when I first moved to Melbourne, and used to make necklaces out of echidna quills, and I saw the image of the kangaroo tooth necklace like years ago.
Didn't you go into the Melbourne Museum and have a look at the old one?
At the old one,
Yeah.
Yep, which was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And so I took really detailed photos and replicated that to a T, and Len and Rock prepared all of the skin for me, because I see this as having quite a bit of men's business stuff and women's business stuff. You know, 200 years ago, I can't imagine a woman going out, getting a roo, bringing it back by herself, skinning it, preparing the skin, chopping the tail off, getting the sinew out of the leg and the tail to make this. I just can't imagine it.
Back to the country, back to the greatest secret.
Right.
And I wonder what I had. You lived a wonderful life up until now. Your life's been blessed so far. Your mother and your father be blessed.
So we'd shave all this hair off. This one's quite a long little one. This would be a whole little strip. I would mark out all the teeth, cut little strips where that's going to be, cut little tiny strips of leather, feed that through, pop that in like that and bind it together. Now I've got to wash them all again, separate them, make sure I've got 75 beautiful teeth. Yeah, put the ochre on the leather, and sometimes if it gets too stiff with the ochre, then Len put emu oil on the last one, and it looked beautiful.
Softens it up.
Yeah, it becomes soft again like this one.
The greatest secret.